Okay, good evening, everybody. It's Wednesday, so it's halacha and Tanya. Last time we started, tonight's class is sponsored by Yehudis Greenberg for her mother's yahrzeit, Cyril Rachel. Her yahrzeit was today, the 5th of Adar, and Shama should have an aliyah.
Amen.
Okay, so we started last time the dinim of Mezuzah. We discussed that Mezuzah is a positive mitzvah, not connected to time. So men, women, everybody's obligated, and mezuzahs should be checked, preferably every year, but at least twice in 7 years is mandatory. We discussed the importance of having a mezuzah. We learned also you're not allowed to sell a mezuzah to a non-Jew. So the whole question, what happens is going to be a fight if you don't. But generally speaking, the rule is you're not allowed to sell a mezuzah to a non-Jew because they won't treat it respectfully. But if you're afraid there'll be fights and anger and all that, then you would be allowed to. Halacha says. Okay, so now what places are obligated to have a mezuzah? So we said any place that is livable needs a mezuzah. Now, in order to be obligated in a mezuzah, you need to have what's called 2 mezuzahs and 1 mashkei. Now we call mezuzah, but in Hebrew, the Torah says, "Uchsaftam al mezuzahs beisecha." Mezuzah is the 2 doorposts. Okay, that is called mezuzahs. We put a mezuzah on the mezuzah of the doorpost, but in Hebrew, the doorpost is called the mezuzahs. The top, you have like a lentil on top, that is called the mashkei. Now, in order to be obligated in a mezuzah, you need 2 mezuzahs, 2 doorposts, generally speaking, 2 doorposts, plus you need to have a mashkef on top. So let's say you have a gate to your backyard or whatever, that there's 2 side posts, but there's no anything on top, then you're not obligated to put up the mezuzah. If you have a gate with the thing on top and the 2 side doorposts, then you would need a mezuzah. Okay? We discussed also last time, if you have a house, a partnership, if there are 2 Jews, you're obligated in the mezuzahs. Obviously, they would have to split the cost of the mezuzahs. If it's a partnership between a Jew and non-Jew, you put up a mezuzah without a bracha. But if the non-Jew has his own room, so to speak, then that room doesn't need a mezuzah, and then the Jew puts up on their own room. Storehouses that people go into to get stuff or food or supplies would need a mezuzah. Now, if you have, let's say, we're going to discuss about mezuzah at work. We're going to get there soon. If you have we learned you have a driveway, with doorposts in the top archway, that would also need a mezuzah. Okay, now rooms that are not, and this is a very practical thing, rooms that are not respectable, such as bathhouse, bathroom, things like that, do not need a mezuzah. But not only that, you have also, sometimes you have an outer room that's right before the bathroom, right before the shower room, but it's all part of the bathroom area. So then the din is, if it's part of the bathroom area, then you don't need a mezuzah there, because again, it's not a respectful room. It's like the entryway into the bathroom, so that would not obligate the person in a mezuzah. If somebody is in a Beis Knesset or shul, if people eat there and sleep there, and people always sleep in a shul when the rabbi speaks. So if they eat there and they sleep there, they would need a mezuzah. The custom today is people do put up mezuzahs in a shul with the brach. Now, what happens if somebody has a business? So there are different opinions about a business. Do you put up a mezuzah in a business? The way we hold is that you do put up a mezuzah in a business, even with a bracha. Again, if a doorway has a door, then it needs a bracha, we learned. If it has a doorway without the door, then it doesn't have, you put up without a bracha, because there's an argument if it needs a mezuzah. Now, How long do you have to live in a place to put up a mezuzah? How long do you have to live there? So the Gemara says like this. If you rent a house in Israel, you're obligated a mezuzah the day you rent it, the day you move in. If you buy a house, for sure you have to put up a mezuzah right away. What happens outside of Eretz Yisrael, in Chutz La'aretz? So the din is like this. I'll tell you what it says in Shulchan Aruch and then I'll discuss it. In Shulchan Aruch it says like this. If you buy a house outside of Eretz Yisrael, like California, wherever, you buy a house, you need to put up a mezuzah as soon as you move in, or even before you move in. If you rent it, it says in halacha that you are not obligated in a mezuzah for 30 days. So again, in Eretz Yisrael, whether you rent or buy, you have to put up a mezuzah right away with a bracha. Outside of Eretz Yisrael, if you rent it, you don't put up a mezuzah. It says in Shulchan Aruch, you don't put up a mezuzah for 30 days. If you buy a house, then you have to put up right away. But there's a letter from the Rebbe that the Rebbe writes about rental, and the Rebbe did send a letter to somebody buying a house also. But the Rebbe writes, our custom is that even a rental, you put up mezuzahs right away without a bracha. You put up mezuzahs right away without a bracha. On the 30th day, you take down one mezuzah, you put up a better mezuzah, or some people say you give it to check, and then on the 30th day, when you put up a better mezuzah, or a mezuzah that was just checked, then you make a bracha, and that covers all the mezuzahs that you put up until then. And interesting, the Rebbe sent this letter that it's Mon Aminig to somebody who bought a house. Now, does that mean that the Rebbe is holding that even when you buy a house, that's our custom? It seems so, but I'm not 100% sure. But so therefore, our custom is, even if you rent an apartment, our custom is you put up mezuzahs right away. No bracha for 30 days. On the 30th day, you change your mezuzah for a better one, and then you make a bracha. But again, it has to be a doorway that has a door, because then you're able to make a bracha. A doorway that doesn't have a door, you don't make a bracha. So that's as far as when you put up a mezuzah right away. Now, there's a lot of interesting questions, like what happens if you're in an old age home or a hospital. Hospitals, Vaad Din, most people say don't need a mezuzah. I know a lot of hospitals have mezuzahs, but technically a hospital is not a place where you live, okay? And it's not even your house, your room, because they could switch you around whenever they want. But if somebody, let's say, has in a retirement hotel, and they have their room and they're paying rent, basically, because they pay for the services. So then you would have to put up a mezuzah. You're renting it. You would have to put up a mezuzah after, the our custom is right away, but after 30 days, you would make a malacha, a bracha. Okay. If somebody's in prison, by the way, there's two opinions. If you're going to be there for a while, one opinion says, yeah, I obligated in the mezuzah. One opinion says, you're not obligated in the mezuzah. But it's interesting because when the previous Rebbe was in prison, Bais Din, the previous Rebbe was in prison, and the Jews asked him, do you know where you are? He said, yeah, I'm in a place that doesn't need a mezuzah, just like an animal stole. That's what the previous Rebbe answered the communists in 1927. So, but general, some people say you should put up without a bracha whenever there's a doubt. Okay. Now, what is the footage of a room that needs a mezuzah? Number one, it has to be Dalet Amis by Dalet Amis, 4 cubits by 4 cubits, which practically speaking, 6 feet by 6 feet. A room that has 6 feet by 6 feet needs, or larger, needs a mezuzah with a bracha if there's a door. What's the height? The height has to be 10 tfachim, which is something like 32 inches. So if you have a room, let's say that's 32 inches high, 33 inches high, or some people say 36 inches high, and is 6 feet by 6 feet, that would need a mezuzah. So if, let's say, you have a shed in the back of your house that you store things in, but you do go in there every so often to get stuff. So if that shed is 6 feet by 6 feet and 36 inches high, or 35 inches high, you would need a bracha. And if that shed has a door, you would have even make it with a bracha, because it's a room that obligates a person in a bracha. Now, what happens if somebody has a room? I'll give you an example, a walk-in closet. You have a bedroom. Okay, the bedroom has a mezuzah because it's more than 6 feet by 6 feet. But now you have a walk-in closet in a bedroom. Does that walk-in closet need a mezuzah? So if it's 6 feet by 6 feet, if the closet is 6 feet by 6 feet, you definitely need a mezuzah with the bracha if there's a door, because it's a room 6 feet by 6 feet. It would need a mezuzah. What happens though if it's smaller than 6 feet by 6 feet, but it's off a room which is 6 feet by 6 feet? Classic example: you have a walk-in closet in your bedroom that's 4 feet by 4 feet, 5 feet by 5 feet, or things like that. Or let's say you have a long closet. So let's say it's, for argument's sake, 6 feet by 6 feet is 36 square feet. Okay, 6 by 6 is 36 square feet. What happens if a room is not 6 feet by 6 feet? It's 9 by 4. Now, 9 by 4 is also 36 square feet. Does that room need a mezuzah? You have that, you can have a closet that's very long, but not so wide. You can have a porch outside the house that you have a door going to the porch. The porch can be, let's say, 3 feet wide, but it could be 12 feet long. You have those scenarios. So the question is, does 6 feet by 6 feet mean 6 feet by 6 feet? And if it's 5 feet by 8 feet, it's not obligated in the mezuzah? Or does it mean even if it's, as long as it's 36 square feet? So there's an argument in the Rishonim between the Rambam and the Rosh. What's interesting, the way the Alter Rebbe in Hilchos Shabbos seems to imply that if it's not 6 by 6, even though it's 36 square feet, it would not need a mezuzah. So it's interesting, when the Rebbe came out with the mezuzah campaign years ago, and everybody started getting very strict with putting up mezuzahs, and there are opinions in halacha that a room that's smaller than 6 feet by 6 feet, but it's off a room which is 6 feet by 6 feet, like you said, the closet in a bedroom, would need a mezuzah. It would need a mezuzah because it's off the big room. So therefore, because of the big room, you need the mezuzah in the closet. And even that with two opinions. Do you put the mezuzah on the right side going into the closet? Do you put the mezuzah on the right side going out of the closet into the big room? There's a whole discussion in halacha. And for many years, the Lubavitchers would be putting up mezuzahs on, again, rooms that are off a bigger room. If a room is just by itself 5 feet by 5 feet, nobody put up a mezuzah. But if the room would be 6 feet by, even less than 6 feet by 6 feet, but it's off a big room, years ago we would put up without a bracha. Then they found out after Gimel Tammuz, this is what I heard from Rabbonim in New York, that they found that in the Rebbe's house, that closets off big rooms that were not 6 feet by 6 feet, the Rebbe did not have mezuzahs on those closets. That means the Rebbe held, and that's the way, obviously, the way we hold also then, that if a room is not 6 feet by 6 feet, even if it's off a big room, we don't put mezuzahs on there. Now, when you say another interesting thing, sometimes you can have a boiler room. Okay, now a boiler room or even a bedroom closet. If there's stuff built in to the ground, like you can have the heating unit, the air conditioning unit. So the room might be 6 by 6, but if you take away, the air conditioning unit or the boiler unit or whatever, which are connected to the ground, then you don't have 6 feet by 6 feet. So the din is that room is not 6 feet by 6 feet. Because if you have a bookcase in there that's movable, yeah, then the room's still 6 feet by 6 feet. But if something is connected to the ground, that takes away from the space of 6 feet by 6 feet. So if you have 6 feet by 6 feet, including without that, then the room would need a mezuzah. If you don't have 6 feet by 6 feet, then you wouldn't put up a mezuzah. Because again, it's not a room 6 feet by 6 feet, doesn't need a mezuzah. But you have a lot of issues with these mezuzahs, like where to put the mezuzah. Another very important complication with mezuzah, and according to Chabad, it's much easier than everybody else does it. Where do you put the mezuzah? You have to put the mezuzah on the right side of the door. We learned last week, if you put it on the left, you didn't do the mitzvah. You have to take it off and put it on the right side, and maybe make a bracha because it's not kosher. You didn't do it right. But the question is, which way do you put the mezuzah? I mean, you can have a lot of entrances going different ways. You can have one entrance, kitchen to dining room, or dining room to kitchen, living room, bedroom, hallway. I mean, you have a lot of concoctions of rooms, one leading to the next. So, where would you put the mezuzah? What side of what's considered the right, and what side is considered the left? So in Chabad, it's very easy. If you have a door, okay, with the exclusion of the front door, no matter which way the door opens, you put it on the right side going into the house. The front door. Or, according to many opinions in Chabad, if you have a side door that you use more than the front door. Many people they have a driveway, they pull the car in, they rarely use the front door. They usually use the side door. So that becomes the main door. So the front door, for sure, you put on the right side going in, no matter which way the door swings. But in the rest of the house, besides the main door, Chabad custom is we put, and this from the Rebbe Rashab, and they say it goes all the way back to the Alter Rebbe, that you put a mezuzah the way the door opens. That means if a door opens into a room, that's called the entranceway into the room. So you put the mezuzah on the right side going into the room. If the door opens out, then you put it on the right side going out of the room. Normally you enter into the room, how do you supposed to? So the whole story with the Rabbi Yosef Shusterman, the Rebbe Rashab, and other Rebbes, they say then you can go through the window. Because it's so powerful to go by the way the door opens, that outweighs everything else. Now, the exception to that, according to most Lubavitch Rabbonim, is if there's no window in the room. Let's say you have a room. Let's say you have a room that there's no window in it. There's no other entry into the window, into the room. And the mezuzah opens out. The door opens out. Then you can't put it going out. Because how did you get into the room? So if there's a window, then you say go through the window. Somebody asked the Rebbe Rashab in the previous Rebbe, what happens if it's on a balcony on the second floor? Okay. And there's a window, but he said, get a ladder and go in through the window. In fact, in the Rebbe writes, in the previous Rebbe's house in 770, there was a porch where they built the sukkah for the previous Rebbe, and the door opened out. No, I'm saying, the difference is that the Hekatzi was going, there's like no way to get in there. And he said, get a ladder and climb through the window. So as long as there's a way to get into the room, whichever way the door opens is the way you put the mezuzah, with the exception of the front door. Front door, you always put the right side going in. Even if you have a back door, let's say, that doesn't open that's not your main usage, even if the opens out, you put it going out. It opens in, you put it going in. This is different than most people in the world, by the way. But the real question is, what happens if you don't have a door? So you need to know where is the entry? Which way is the right side? And that's the complications in Mezuzah. And therefore, to follow Jewish tradition, when people move into a home, they ask the rabbi or a sefer, somebody that knows the laws of Mezuzah, to come to the house to tell them where the mezuzah should be, because it's not so simple. I'll give you an example. Generally speaking, if you have a primary room and an inferior room, okay? Now, let me go back a second. A lot of times, it depends just the way you walk into the room. Okay? Sometimes you walk into a house, okay, and you walk in and talk without doors. Besides front door. And then the question is, so the way you walk a lot of times is the way you're entering, because that's the way you walk. But I'll give you an example. What happens if you have two rooms you can get in this way or this way? So then the din is, you put it from the inferior room into the main room. I'll give you an example. You have a kitchen and a dining room. And let's say you can go from the kitchen to the dining room to the kitchen. There's different ways. What is a primary room and what is the secondary room? So according to halacha, the kitchen is where you make the food. The dining room is where you eat the food. So therefore, the kitchen is to serve the dining room. The dining room doesn't serve the kitchen. The kitchen is making the food to be able to be eaten in the dining room. So unless if the walkage of the house is different, in that case, you would put the mezuzah on the right side going from the kitchen into the dining room, providing there's another way of getting in there. But again, that's why you need to see actually somebody that knows the laws of mezuzah to a certain extent, at least, to come to the house and check, where the mezuzahs should be going, because you want to make sure you put them up on the right side. If you put them up on the wrong side, I don't mean right versus left. If you don't put it on the right side, you put it on the wrong side, then you're technically not fulfilling the mitzvah of a mezuzah. Now, what happens if somebody, let's say, has an RV that they live in? So it's very possible you would need a mezuzah there, because it's 6 by 6, hopefully, and it's a place where therefore they write like this: a bus. Yeah, let's say you have a bus, school bus. Okay, a school bus, or you have a van. Let's say a big van. So it could be 6 feet by 6 feet. Well, you have a bus. It's 6 feet by 6 feet. But those are not made to live in. But what happens if you have an RV that people do live in, okay, and that would need a mezuzah. Okay, so a lot of these things, again, they always need to be checked, because there's a lot of details that would obligate the mezuzah, not obligate the mezuzah, where the mezuzah should go. And again, sometimes if you have two side posts and you don't have a top lintel, then that wouldn't need a mezuzah. But certain times, and I'm just mentioning this because it's getting late, we have to go to Tanya. Certain times you can have a hallway that on one side there's a doorpost, but on the other side there's just a wall. So that could be complicated. According to many opinions, if the doorpost is on the right side, you would put a mezuzah there without a bracha. If the doorpost would be on the left, based on the entrance, then you wouldn't put a mezuzah. But again, because these things are so complicated, you actually need to bring down somebody when you move into an apartment that they should check and make sure the mezuzahs are up on the right places. And also, in the Mitzvah next week, we'll learn about where does the mezuzah go on the doorpost, how high up or how low. And this could be very interesting if you have sometimes a very small entranceway. So that in Mitzvah we'll talk about next week, where the height of the mezuzah. And I'm going to mention I'm just going to mention another issue. Normally the mezuzah is supposed to be put at the bottom of the top third. Okay, from the lintel on top. So you measure it a third and you put it at the bottom of the top third. What happens if you have a 15-foot doorway? You put it still at the bottom of the top third? Or many opinions hold you put it at shoulder length, shoulder height. And that we'll see the Rebbe himself, one place says one thing, another place says another thing. So Mitzvah Shem, next week, we will talk about that. I just want to mention, I mentioned it before, but Yehuda Greenberg wasn't on. Tonight's class is sponsored by Yehuda Greenberg for her mother's yard, which was today. Siro Rochel, Neshama should have an aliyah.